Hey, you are here because you have a strict or moderate NAT on your Xbox One, Xbox 360, or your Xbox One is telling you it cannot get the Teredo IP. This is a problem that's been going around. It is much easier to fix than most help pages are even making it out to be. First of all, go into your network settings for your router. I personally disable all the firewall stuff on my router because I have my own types of security. I don't really worry about all that. If you're comfortable with it, you can disable that stuff. It does help some. What you really need to do is go into your administration or wherever it is that you can find the option for upnp on your router. Now, do not follow the steps on any other help site that tell you to manually open ports. That is not needed if you have any upnp on your router. First of all, disable your upnp and save the settings. Go into the room where your router is, unplug it for about 30 seconds along with your modem. We're going to power cycle the modem and the router after disabling the upnp. After about 30 seconds, plug your modem back in. Once the modem is fully booted and it has all the lights except for the link light that displays that it's actually linked to the internet or your router, go ahead and plug the router back in and let it boot back up fully as well. Once it's back up all the way, go back to your computer, get back into your settings, and go back and re-enable upnp. Sorry about that. Save your settings once again. During this whole process, you should have your Xbox One on. Now, mine is already set to NAT type open because I've already resolved the problem. It should still be displaying for you that it is either strict, moderate, and the testing multiplayer returns that you cannot get the Teredo IP address. What you do from here is hold the power button on your Xbox One. Granted, it's just a touch sensor, but you can still hold it. After you hold it for a few seconds, the Xbox One will manually power itself down. Give it a moment, turn the console back on. This will refresh the console to kind of a factory state without losing all of your settings. Boot it back up. Go back in. You should automatically be on NAT type open if you have followed the steps for leaving the console on while you're doing all this. Disable the upnp, reboot your router and your modem, power cycle, and make sure you boot the modem back up first, then the router. That is the proper way of doing it. I don't care what anybody else tells you. If the router company tells you to do it with them first, if your internet company tells you to do it with them first, don't listen. I mean, the internet company would be right, yes, but do your modem first, then the router. Make sure the first one boots fully up, then the second one boots fully up. Go back in, re-enable the upnp feature, save the settings, then power cycle your Xbox One by holding the power button on the front of it until it turns off. Boot it back up. You should be on a purely open NAT type at this point, and your problem should be more than fixed. You should be able to play online, do anything you want to do. If not, if you're not finding that upnp feature and if you have to manually open ports, honestly, I suggest you get a newer router. If you don't have that upnp, you're really not getting the best of the gaming world or the internet world, either one. Having to manually open ports means those things are always open. You are at risk for being hacked. People can easily use those ports to get into you. With the upnp feature, it opens them only when needed. So, now if you have to go out and get a new router, if you have to talk to your parents because you don't have a job, you're still living with them, you're not old enough, whatever the case may be, get a newer router that has the upnp feature. Save yourself the headache. Now tell your parents you're saving them the headache. You don't want them to be hacked. Either way, this should resolve the problem. If not, I'm not really sure what else you can do. This is how I resolved it. This is how most people should be able to resolve the problem, is just by resetting that upnp, power cycling everything, and booting it all back up. You should be great after that and have an open NAT type. Now, if you've ran into the one where you've done the upnp disable, power cycle your modem and router, re-enable it, save the settings, and you're still on strict NAT type, it's because you have not power cycled your Xbox One. You have to remember, these things remain in always on state. If you also have an Xbox 360, you can easily turn it on and check, and I can almost guarantee that thing will be an open NAT type while your Xbox One still says it's on a strict or moderate NAT type. Because it is in that always on state, it will not fully recognize that, settings have been changed or restored, or, everything has been fixed completely, because it hasn't been power cycled. So you have to power cycle that Xbox One at the end of the process.